Welcome everyone back here to Mere Finance. Going to talk about Mexico again. A few months ago, we talked about Mexico as a future hub of manufacturing in the world, and time has proven to be right. But not only in the manufacturing aspect, also in the equity market investment. So is Mexico one of the 2023 market darlings? We are going to check. But before that, don't forget to subscribe. So let's start. The EWW is a iShares for Mexico. Basically holds the best Mexican companies out there, but it's also denominated in the US dollar, so you don't have your risk of currency exchange, although the Mexican peso has been pretty well. So if you're not comfortable taking that bet against the Mexican peso, you can hold the EWW iShares. And you can see in the last 3 years, the EWW has outperformed the S&P 500 by around 12%, even in a time when there was COVID, lockdowns, tremendous polarization across the world, extreme amount of quantitative easing in the US, and an appreciation of the US dollar across the globe. Still, the Mexican index beat the S&P 500. And we're going to talk why, and we're going to talk why this will continue. So some of the holdings are here. So we have American Mobile, which is the telephone company by Carlos Slim. It has 14%. Then you have Grupo Financiero Banorte. It's a very strong bank. Walmart. Then you have all other companies. It's well diversified. A lot of energy, a lot of consumer discretionary, a lot of telecommunications. So a lot of good companies that could wear out a recession pretty well. So let's see. This is the current outlook of currencies. You can see the USD to the Mexican here at the bottom has depreciated in this year 3%. So we were talking about how the US dollar was so strong last year, and still coming into this year, the Mexican peso, even though the dollar has been depreciating constantly, you can see the Canadian dollar to the US has appreciated 1.9%, and also the Japanese with the USD to Japan has been depreciating. The Mexican peso is still outperforming in comparison to the Japanese yen and the Canadian dollar. So those marvels of the Central Bank of Mexico and the policies that's been there. As you can see, the DXY index, which measures the dollar across the world, you can see it was high at the end of the year 2022. It's becoming down, which is a good sign for emerging markets, because most of the machinery and all products they have to import are in dollars. So if your dollars are going down, the value of the currency, your own currency, in comparison to the dollar, is appreciating, then you are lowering the inflation pressure to your own economy. And we think that the dollar is going to keep going down because the Japanese bank, the Bank of Japan, keeps buying Japanese bonds in order to trigger stability in their currency. And this is taking around 38 billion in US dollars every single time they do that. So it's a lot of dollars that are going to be in the market out there. So there is not like a shortening of the supply of the dollars across the world, so which is bringing a lot of pressure down. Also, commodities are steadily going up too, but the dollar is losing its power in this year as there's fears of recession there. But also there is an interest rate. So let's talk about Mexico. Why is Mexico doing so well? First, it has a great energy policy because it's strong into the fossil fuel industry and in energy independence stance. So exploring the top countries with largest recoverable shale gas reserves, Mexico is number 6. It's pretty high up. But the good thing is, like, most of these reserves are actually being used in their own economy. So it makes it cheap for them. And there is 2 main reasons. Nearshoring. So nearshoring is a term when you bring your manufacturing close to you. And a lot of times, in the last 20 years, this has been gone into China. But as the political aspect in China has become a threat to the world, more and more companies are moving out of China, as we said in the video before. So, for example, Savaria opens a new factory in Mexico. So it's a global leader in accessibility industry in Querétaro. Tesla also opened a factory in Mexico. So you can see a lot of companies are going into Mexico for manufacturing. We also explained that it has to do because of the young population, but also because of the wages per hour in the manufacturing sector. You can see how China is steadily going up, while Mexico has been holding at 2.27 USD per hour, while China is already at 6.32. So you can see since 2005, basically manufacturing wages per hour is basically stagnant in Mexico, which helps a lot for companies to bring their manufacturing sites there. And it's also a really well qualified skill of people, very nice people, great food. So I think Mexico is going to be a darling. Then interest rates have a lot to do in the behavior of the Mexican economy. So a 1 month government bond, we're going to see how much it's paying. But in Mexico, inflation for December was 7.8, while in the US was 6.5. So inflation has been going down in the US, but the thing is that the 10% is the yield for a 28-day government bond. So for the 1 month government bond, Mexico is paying 10.5, while the US is paying around 4.4, which makes it way more attractive to invest in Mexico, because it is more, for an investor, even a local investor in Mexico, it is more attractive to invest in Mexican government bonds because it's outperforming inflation by almost 3%. So this also brings less demand for dollars, and also this brings the Mexican peso down. Although this is a temporary factor, but we think it's going to keep going because the Mexican Central Bank has been holding steady interest rates higher than inflation, which lowers the pressure for US dollars. So in summary, we are seeing a great work from the central bank. And I think what we believe the most important is that there's a structural change in the Mexican economy into a manufacturing hub. At least in the middle term, Mexico is going to be very important. So let us know what you think. Maybe EWW will be a great darling for this 2023 as well. And the Mexican peso, also a great currency. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week in another episode of Mere Finance.